what we're doing is we are working in the kingdom,
Mhm. Yeah.
and God has given us the tools of multiplication, the tools of disciple making to bring in the harvest. And I just think about all the hard work and the burden that we feel when we're doing ministry. Man, it's one of the most gut-wrenching, heartbreaking endeavors ever.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I every day any day, I won't say every day, but any day I run into pastors, I sense and I see that burden. And what Jesus has given us in disciple making through the power of his Holy Spirit, he has given us a means to see the kingdom come
Mm.
that is built on his yoke. And actually, when it says take my yoke, what he's doing is every rabbi had a yoke, right? They had a system of thought and teaching, a way. And of course, Christianity was referred to as the way. And he says, take my yoke. Hey, do kingdom work my way.
Mm.
Why? Because my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And when I get weighed down, frustrated, overwhelmed, tired, burnout, want to give up, it's because, man, I've stepped in and I've began to do it my way, and I haven't leaned into that wonderful, beautiful yoke of Jesus, the gospel of the kingdom. And so disciple making is the primary tool God uses
Mm.
in his kingdom to expand it. And when I do that, then I don't have the weight. So, hey, if you're out there and you're hard pressed, if you're laboring, if you're tired, if things aren't going, if your church is dying, here is a solution.
Yeah, and I love that. I think it's a perfect tee up because, what we're talking about is not a program, and oftentimes when people are in a program mindset, they can't help, but think that way, and so as we're stepping into this, what we're talking about is, 1, we're gonna start unpacking a disciple maker's pathway, which is really just an identification of the organic process in which somebody grows into discipleship in Jesus. And so it's not a program, it's an organic process. And so as we talk about this, we're going to break down what that pathway looks like, a little bit of an overview. And then we're going to kind of take each one of those phases and we're going to look at a couple simple things. First thing we're going to look at is how would you describe somebody in that phase? What does somebody in that phase need? And what's an example of what you can do to disciple somebody in that phase? It's not a program, it's about an organic process and then intentionality on our part of what it looks like to pour into what God is doing.
The pathway is a tool, but the principles is something that we have to build kingdom ministry, kingdom work. We've got to be willing to give up that prime spot as key teacher.